Okay, I did Divergent by Veronica Roth. Me and Kyler did the same book. So here's the summary. Beatrice lives in the faction Abnegation, and each faction has its own value and colors and like symbols that represent a faction. And once you turn 16, it's time for you to take your aptitude test, which basically tells you what faction you'd be best fit for based on your personality. And it's like a simulation kind of. And it has like all your fears, and it has to do with like how you handle your fears, and that determines like what faction you'd be best fit for. So it was written in 2011, and the age recommendation is 13 to 14 and older. A lot of people kind of thought that it would copy The Hunger Games a little bit, just because this book, like, it came out around 2 years after The Hunger Games, so that's why a lot of people thought it, like, kind of copied it. She takes the test, but her results are divergent, which means you don't want to see it.
I'm scared.
This has to do with what happens
no matter
what
you are or what you do, I'll be proud.
I hope that's true. I hope I'll make Mom proud.
Name, Beatrice Pryor. Ready? This might hurt quite a bit. Good. I'm ready. What was that? You can go now. What were my results? Abnegation. Tell me the truth. Fine, but you can't tell anyone. They were inconclusive. What? You're what they call a divergent. Say we sent you home because you were sick. Tell no one, or you'll be killed.
What does this mean? Will I be factionless? What faction will I choose?
Today is the day that I'll officially choose a faction that I'll live in forever.
That was the day I was supposed to do it, but then there's bloopers and credits. This is painful. Okay, no, there's bloopers. This is loud. This is loud. Go. I'm sorry. Oh yeah, we didn't add that. Okay, that was really painful. Alright. That she could be in at least 2 or more factions and like succeed in the factions, and the government doesn't like divergence because they are more rebellious and they could be in more than one faction and they don't think that they fit in society and they aren't like supposed to be there. So yeah, the government seeks to find any divergence across all the factions to try to kill them and get rid of them because they think that'll solve a problem. And the government fears them because they are scared that they're gonna like rebel and there's no place for them, so she has to keep it a secret. She can't tell anyone, and the tester in the book tells her that she has to be really careful with who she trusts and make sure that she knows like a lot about them or has known them for a long time before she tells them, or like not tell anyone because it's just dangerous if anyone knows. What it means to be a divergent. So if you're divergent, obviously you need to have or like be able to be in at least 2 factions or more than 2 factions. You are more like strong-willed and rebellious because you just don't fit in a specific kind of like way of life. The government is also hunting you because they don't want you in their society. Abnegation. Abnegation values selflessness. They love to help others and put others before themselves. They really like to help the factionless, and factionless are people who took the aptitude test, figured out what faction would best suit their personality, but once you get into that faction, you have to take either a test or a series of tests, and if you fail that, then you become factionless, which means you live on the streets and you're kind of like poor. So they really like to help them. They're really strict in like what you can wear and eat, and its color that like represents that faction is any shade of gray. And as you can see on the side, that's the symbol for abnegation. Condor. Condor values honesty and order, and they think that lying is like the greatest of all the sins, so that's why the symbol for them is kind of like a scale of being like honest and like lying. So they tell the truth even when they wish they couldn't, so they're always honest. And the colors that represent their value are black and white. Erudite. Erudite values intelligence, and they think that they are the smartest people because they technically kind of are. Because, yeah, that's their value. They believe that they should be in charge because they're the smart ones, and the color that represents them is pretty much any shade of blue, and as you can see on the side, that is the symbol for them. Dauntless. Their values is bravery. They do crazy things, and this is just an example for like in the book, they jump off trains onto a building to get over their fears and prove that they aren't scared of anything, and they're kind of like the defenders. They like train for fighting and all that, and their values color is orange, and on the side their symbol is like fire. Then amity. Amity is values kindness, peacefulness, friendship, trust, and forgiveness. They're the most content ones. They live the happiest lives, and their values color is red, and they're also farmers. So that's why the symbol is like a tree, and that's kind of like their work or what they do. So this is the one causing all this. Janine is kind of the evil character. She is the leader of the faction Erudite, and she believes that she should be the leader of all the factions because each faction has its own leader, and she believes that Erudite should be in charge of all of them because they're the smart ones and they're more intelligent and they think they can cause or like help all the problems. So she chases and hunts down Divergents because she doesn't believe they fit in society. Beatrice Pryor, or Triss, is the main character. She was born in abnegation, and people in the book call her stiff because they're really strict again. Her personality is brave, determined, strong-willed, kind, smart, and selfless, and she is obviously a Divergent. Shailene Woodley plays her in the movie. Her fears. Now this is kind of an interesting slide. I thought I would kind of add this in just because it has to do with like a lot of the decisions that she made in the book, as well as like the test for what faction she should be in. So that's just like a list of all her fears and stuff. She has like a fear of being weak, being out of control, being turned to lie. That's kind of morbid. Her and her family being killed by Janine, and this just has a lot to do with like her feelings and her decisions. So I thought it would kind of be important to add it. And then on the side, it's just a quote from like, I think she said that in the book. So. 4 is another main character. He is from the Dauntless faction, and he helps Triss become a Dauntless. He's like a transfer though, but he's been there for a while. So his personality is brave, determined, strong-willed, and he can be really harsh. And Theo James plays 4 in the movie, and picture's cut off. And then this is time for my movie trailer. I'm sorry in advance because it's really cringy. Thank you to Hannah and Ellie. The trilogy, it's technically a trilogy of Divergent, Insurgent, and Allegiant, and 4 is all about the character 4. So yeah. The food I chose Oreos because the only food they talk about in the book is hamburgers. So since I can't bring in real hamburgers, I thought like Oreos kind of looked like a cookie sandwich. I don't know, so I just did that. Yeah, that's it. So now I will hand out Oreos.
Yeah.
Woo-hoo!